Remember that Swami Kriyananda, made the point of the law of magnetism, that the quality, the type, the quantity of energy that we put out is exactly what we draw back to us, what we attract back to us. And so let's say our energy goes into a deep-seated fear, and we have a lot of concentration and attention to this fear. The bad news, I'm afraid, is that we may well attract to us the object of our fears as a result. And the same is true in a positive way. And I was thinking about my own life, and what sort of fears did I have, like as a child? And I really had trouble remembering any. Certainly I wanted to fit in with the other kids. I wanted to belong and be accepted. But other than that, I really can't think of any. And perhaps part of that was the kind of energy and amount of energy that I was putting out. And when I was probably a preteen, my mother made it clear to me that we had very little money, and she said that her part-time job could cover our food and lodging, but if I wanted anything like clothes or spending money, it was up to me to find a way to earn money for those things. And I desired to have that very much. And so I looked for every possible way I could to earn money, whether it was a weekend job or delivering newspapers. And what happened as a result is I put out a lot of energy to succeed. And perhaps that was why that positive energy came back to me instead of any fears that I can recall. And the solution to fear, certainly one solution, is meditation, because we build up that strength within us. And I know for me, I was very surprised when I first learned to meditate that perhaps the most dramatic result for me was the newfound sense of confidence that I felt as a result of my meditation. And certainly I felt like I really was afraid of nothing. And another aspect of the solution is to affirm strongly the opposite positive quality to that which we fear. To affirm strongly with our conscious mind joy, happiness, courage. Here's an affirmation on courage. I'm just going to read it to you, that Swamiji has given us. He says, I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain at the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain at the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. What better protection can we possibly have? We simply need to remind ourselves of this very real fact. There's a story I wish to share of a young boy who would have nightmares and he was afraid of the dark, and those nightmares would reoccur, and he had the good fortune that his parents had a guru. And the guru gave the wise counsel. He said, light a lamp in the boy's room and don't let the lamp go out during the night. And so they did that. In fact, they followed that routine for years. And the boy was very confident. His bad dreams never reoccurred. And the boy became more and more a disciple himself of the guru. And he meditated, he became stronger and stronger in himself. And then the day came finally that the guru was about to leave his body. And he called the boy to him, and he said to the boy, at this time the boy was a young man, he said that I will tell you a secret, and that is, you never needed that lamp as a boy. I gave you that lamp at night just as a crutch, so that that inner light within you could get stronger and stronger. And the guru then blessed the man on his spiritual eye, and the man saw more and more inner light. And then the guru said to him, you know, another thing is I never really needed to give you counsel or support over the years. It was really just so that that love and strength within you could get stronger and stronger. And then he blessed the boy at the heart. And he said, finally, if you want this light and love to grow within you and keep getting stronger, then you need to give it away. You need to be a channel. When somebody has fear, give him this light, give him this sense of protection. And if somebody has any bad feeling in his heart, give him God's love. And a few days later, the guru passed away. There was a prayer meeting, and all of the disciples were in tears and very sad to lose their guru, except for one disciple. And he was this formerly shy and fearful boy, and he went around to each person and embraced them, gazed into their eyes, gave them the guru's love. And they saw in his eyes really the eyes of the guru and the divine light that was always with them.
It was a very nice story, Keshava. Thank you. Krishna says in the 4th chapter that those are truly wise who have given up anger, attachment, and fear by clinging to God, by clinging to Him, by clinging to that infinite, eternal reality, which is the basis of our lives, which is the basis of the cosmos. And I think one of the reasons why people fall into fear is that they forget that their reality is spiritual and not physical. They think they're physical beings with the soul instead of being spiritual beings with the body. And so it's just sort of in that sort of misperception, that confusion of eternal verities, we get confused, we make mistakes. And so we need to ask ourselves, if we find ourselves in fear, we need to really introspect and say, well, what am I afraid of? And where does my security come from? And so, it is the habit And people will say, well, it's just human to think that my security comes from our bank account, or my security comes from my home, or my car, or my job, or my sons, or my health. We can think these are all the basis of our security in this life. And we say, well, I'm just being practical. But if we really get down to it and think about it and say, well, what's very practical about that? Because we know every single thing on this material plane is not permanent. And we know everything is going to change, which is really the only thing we can be sure of about the material plane, is it will change. And so I think we should all prepare ourselves that, if we are counting on these things outside of ourselves for our lasting security, we will be disappointed. And so like Keshava said, I mean, meditation, getting on the spiritual path and having a strong meditation practice is one of the main ways that we can help remember that we are truly spiritual beings, and our lives, our awareness, our consciousness, our soul's path is eternal and not limited by whether this body is young and healthy or not, or if I'm afraid of getting sick, what do we think is going to happen? Of course, we'll probably get sick because we're going to get old, or afraid of getting old and dying, or afraid of our spouse getting old and dying, or our parents passing away. These things for sure will happen. So we should not be thinking that they're not going to happen, or they're going to happen way down the line, so I won't even worry about it now, because we're not even sure it's going to happen way down the line. Things happen all the time. So we have to prepare ourselves. We need to look fear in the face and say, what is it that I am afraid of? And dissect it. I mean, this is what the spiritual path is about. This is what introspection is about. This is like really trying to understand, is there a solid, lasting reason for this fear? Usually when we look it in the face and we dissect it, we realize we're just afraid of ghosts. We do know we're going to leave this body, and then what will happen? We will take the quality of our energy and the quality of our consciousness with us into the astral world and into our next life, unless we become enlightened in this lifetime or self-realized in this lifetime and we do not have a rebirth. But if that's the case, then being concerned about the quality of our consciousness is really the top concern of this life. And so if our consciousness is filled with fear, that will just lead down a very difficult path, because if we leave the body with fear, then we're going to be born the next life with fear, and it will just compound and compound. And so we need to just get back to center. So if we're looking outside of ourselves for security, that's the first thing we need to correct, and start coming back inside. And so just the entire spiritual path is quit looking outside for love, for happiness, for security, and start reversing the searchlights of that energy, of that light, back inside, where we can experience and remember who it is that we truly are, these eternal, infinite souls connected to all power, connected to God. And so how do we do that? If something happens and, just in the moment, in a car, in the office, if something happens at home and we suddenly become fearful, Master tells us, do not make the habit of reacting in fear. So what to do instead? Take a double breath. Exhale, just breathe. It gets just tense, and then relax that tension. And in that relaxation, just take a moment and don't react. Put a gap between whatever we just heard and our reaction to it. Take some deep pranayams. Get control of our energy. Get that energy flowing within us, inside, because once we can control our energy, then we can also control our response to it. Because, emotion, fear, anger, all of this is energy in motion. But where is that energy going? It's flying out from us without any control. So it's the first thing we learn in meditation, energy control. It's the key to the path. It's the key to being able to remain steadfast through the crash of breaking worlds, calm in the middle of the storm. And this is what the spiritual path is about. And so we want to retrace our steps. We're spiritual beings. If we're forgetting who we are and we think we're just these bodies and we think this is the ultimate reality, we have to fix that misperception by retracing our steps from the material world to the astral world, which is energy and prana flowing through us, to the causal world, which is our consciousness, and then back to spirit. And then let's remember about what Yogananda ji said about Om. He said, Om is the great comforter. He said that when you are in the consciousness of Om, nothing can touch you. So Om, which many of you may know how to practice Om already, it's just listening for the inner sounds, the vibratory motor of the universe. If we can hear Om with open ears or practice the Om technique and listen to Om, just try to tune into this vibration that the whole cosmos was created from. And so once we can connect to that vibration, it's like connecting to the power of the universe. And so that is one of the best things we can do, is listen to Om. There's also japa. Let's take our consciousness and not let it go crazy outside, running out in fear, but Om Guru. Swami tells us that's the highest mantra, Om Guru, or the Maha Mantra, or Om Namah Shivaya, or Hey Bhagavan, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You know, just like what is going to keep your consciousness in a uplifted higher state than letting it just run out of control. Fear is just lack of control of our energy and being afraid of an illusion. It's just like when we have a rope under the bed, we can think it's a snake, but that's just a misperception of reality. Misperception of reality that anything can happen outside the will of God. Anything we draw to ourselves, the cosmos is saying, we have the strength to handle it. If this is a challenge, we need to generate the energy to overcome the challenge. If we have a fear, we know that it has come to us because our aura and magnetism has drawn it to us, and we now have the strength to overcome that fear. Look at it in the eye, see what it is, and dispel the delusion. We now have the wisdom to do that. Of course, put ourselves in an environment of strong, courageous, peaceful people who meditate, who remember who they are, satsang. It's a very important aspect of the path. Energization, getting strong energy flowing through us all the time, gazing up at the spiritual eye, not letting our consciousness sink and go out, gazing up at the spiritual eye. And Master even said we can write Om on our pillow at night if we're feeling fearful as we go to sleep. He says we can just do Om around us like this, chanting Om and creating an aura of light around us. So these are all different things we can do. We should have plenty of sleep. We should have a good diet, all these things that keep our consciousness strong and healthy. So these are some of the things we can do. I'll end with one story. It's a Gurubai of ours in Oregon. She was in a bank robbery, and she freaked out. She had been on the path a long time, and she was very disappointed in herself about how fearful she had become during this bank robbery. This was in Portland, Oregon. So she really worked on herself. She really worked on being in Om, listening to Om, reading all that Master had to say about fear, but mostly focused on Om. Interestingly enough, just 2 years later, she was in another bank robbery. And this time she remembered to stay focused on Om. And this bank robbery happened to be more dangerous than the first one. And she was on the ground next to another woman, and she helped calm the woman next to her. And when the police came in the end, she was the only one out of all the people in the bank that could describe the robbers And she said, you know, what were the chances of being in 2 bank robberies in one lifetime? It's very, very small. But Master had given her that opportunity to practice and then overcome her fear. And this time she really wasn't afraid. She just felt surrounded in Om. So there we go. God bless you. Very nice to have this time together. And let's just end with the healing prayer for the world. Let's close our eyes and visualize this planet enveloped in Divine Mother's healing power. You can also visualize it enveloped in the Om vibration. The Om vibration which creates it, sustains it. Divine Mother's light surrounding it. Her power uplifting this planet. Her divine love giving hope and peace to all souls on the planet. And her infinite consciousness transforming the consciousness of all souls on the planet. Let's pray together. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all these bodies, minds, and souls. Rubbing our hands, being instruments of light, being instruments of the Om vibration to all souls everywhere, all creatures everywhere. Om. 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 Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.